to increase profits. Wesley says that's pretty much my work day, and you do work in heavy industry, right? I would guess that there's some legal 8 hours including a 30-minute break. Yeah, so it's like 4 hours a break and 4 hours ideally. So you don't get too fatigued and cut your arm off or something, which we don't want to happen. Anyway, the point being that overwork is probably counterproductive. Let's say we start there. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, it's 4. I don't know what I'm doing. So there, and then underneath this we're gonna fill in with planks to there. There. Let's do the other side. Pretty sure that shouldn't be gold underneath there. Or should it? One, two, three, four. This is weird. Shouldn't that be gold? Shouldn't this be open? I don't know what's going on. This is missing. Oh, because well, this shouldn't be. Anyway, this should be a wooden log column like that. That looks good enough. Google used to have 20% time, which is to say, like, if you work 5 days a week, 1 day in every week, your job is to just do your own project. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 4 days a week you do what Google tells you to, and then 1 day a week you do like experimental work, which is still Google property, right? Whatever inventions you make is still Google property, but it's your own initiative. They used to do that. I think they've stopped now, and they've moved the research stuff into dedicated X labs. Let's try and keep this symmetrical. So that's a little bit curious. That Google used to have this thing that encourages experimentation, but also that they eventually got rid of it. I wonder... Like, I wonder why they changed it. Maybe people weren't actually being productive. Why is this open? Oops. I mean, considering that they're a technology company, presumably just giving people time to make new technologies would benefit the company. Provided that the products that come out of it are more or less marketable. So I think Gmail and Chrome came out of 20% time. Maybe I'm wrong. I know Chrome happened because Google weren't happy with Internet Explorer or whatever, or Firefox. So they weren't satisfied with browsers for themselves, so they just made their own browser. And it turned out that their own browser was much better than other people's. So they turned like their own internal development tool into a product. 2, 3, and I think it was the same for Gmail. 4, 5, 6. Basically, they were just fed up with other people's browsers and email. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think Google, like the apps, Google Docs and Sheets and things was similar. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Column there. So, like university lectures are usually 1 hour. Do you remember your university, Wesley? What were your lectures like? Were they like 1 hour per subject at a time? We had some 2-hour lectures with a break in between, but I feel like by the time you get to 1.5 hours, people started falling asleep. Wait, no? What's no? You had up to 4-hour lectures? Whose idea was that? And was that that sounds like a terrible idea, Wesley. What, 4 hours on the same subject by the same guy? That sounds stupid. Do people actually stay awake for 4 hours, Wesley? How long do people stay awake for? It doesn't... Or 2 similar subjects by the same person for 4 hours. That doesn't sound plausible. like art history and photography class in my case. I mean, look, we didn't have 4 hours seems a lot. I remember having like 3 hours. It would be like one subject break, one subject for an hour, a break, a different subject for an hour, break, and then a different subject. And obviously it wasn't like actually, it was more like 50 hours, and then like a 10-minute break in between. And even those, people would fall asleep in the 1 hour lectures. Like, I remember me being like one of the more attentive students, and even then, like after an hour and a half of the same thing, I would start to drift off. Four hours. 4 hours of the same stuff. I catched up a lot of sleep during class. Yeah, exactly, Wesley, exactly. No, I really do think that is just counterproductive. I mean, everybody's gonna fall asleep. I can't imagine anyone just not falling asleep in that kind of situation. Or playing, or playing games. I mean, look, we do like 2.5 hours every week here, and even this is a little bit much. And we are literally playing games right now, Wesley, and like even this 2.5 hours is a little bit much. When I write my books, I usually keep the chapters like maybe at most 3,000 words. Not 300 words. Yeah, no, 300 words. At most like 3,000 words. Although like I kind of aim for 2,500, but then I overshoot most of the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just like stick a thing in there. Oh, I see. Let me just put that there. Because like it seems like the human brain just has a finite attention span, right? And it's counterproductive to try to do too much all at once. Four-hour lectures, what on earth? That sounds stupid. Whose idea? Does nobody like? Do they not? I guess it's I guess maybe they just like university and conservative and not prone to change. But shouldn't somebody just like change this? Like it, just change the setup? I mean, it's not that hard to change timetabling, right? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, this is kind of weird. Let's do that, I guess. I mean, university used to be elite education, right? Like maybe like several decades ago. But these days, everybody has to go to university. And I think that changes things. Maybe some people can do 4-hour lectures. Like maybe like a small percentage of people can do 4-hour lectures. And like, I like to think that I have a pretty good attention span compared to most people. But if university is gonna be just standard education that everybody has to do, then not that many people can actually do 4-hour lectures. I just remember my classmates falling asleep next to me. Just remember my classmates like falling asleep, even in 1-hour lectures. And it's not like they're not stupid people. Like they're not like useless. It's just that, you know, they need a few more breaks than people. Video games. So the average Hearthstone game, I'm just gonna think about video games. The average Hearthstone game is maybe like 20 minutes. The average Heroes of the Storm game is maybe like, if you versus AI it's like 20 minutes. If you're versus humans it gets up to like half an hour. Dota 2 I think gets up to like an hour. Each game is like an hour. Just trying to think, like, because video games, they have to work for people in order to make money, right? So they have a financial incentive to actually care about people's attention spans, unlike your university, Wesley, where they don't seem to have any incentive to care about the ability of students to stay awake. But video game content, you can kind of see it being broken up into maybe like half-hour or 1-hour sessions. Like you have like a specific, you know, like a quest. If you play an RPG, how long is the quest? Or how long does it take for you to do something, like do a segment of a quest or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in a way, it's like you have a length that feels right to people, but at the same time, you know, good and bad video games affect whether they sell and whether they make money. I wish Q was here. I want to talk to him about video games. He plays a lot of video games. Do you play a lot of video games, Wesley? Do you have a feel for this? Like, how long is a gaming session for you, typically? I guess it depends on the person. If you play mobile games, the gaming session might be like a... I would play more if I could. You used to play a lot. Can you remember, like,